Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely fantastic news. William Barr has appointed a prosecutor to review case against Michael Flynn. They're reversing not only Roger Stone, but Michael Flynn's case. So there was sentencing with Roger Stone, which there shouldn't have been. Even if you don't like the person, you don't defend an unlawful special counsel that was created by Comey's memos. So if you want Stone to be in prison for not remembering some kind of email or some kind of statement within the context of a special counsel that was predicated upon a dossier purchased by Clinton, they're the ones who legitimize their conspiratorial theories by saying, well, we have suspicion, and our suspicion is justified because John Brennan and James Clapper and James Comey believe that something could have happened. That is not evidence. They had no evidence that Trump had worked with Russia, yet they investigated. You know, when they say, well, Trump without evidence claims, the Democrats without evidence claim the Steele dossier was accurate. There was never any evidence the Steele dossier was accurate, and now everyone understands it's complete and utter nonsense. Nobody was indicted on the Steele dossier. The articles of impeachment listed nothing to do with Crossfire Hurricane or the Mueller probe. 3 years of American history wasted. They accuse him of Trump of bottomless corruption, tarnishing the rule of law. Well, why didn't they include anything to do with the articles of anything to do with the Mueller probe within the articles of impeachment? Why didn't they include Michael Flynn or Roger Stone or Papadopoulos or the Trump Jr. meeting or any of the contacts between Trump and Russians that they felt were so suspicious? Why didn't they include obstruction of justice? For the entire time from when Trump was president up until the articles of impeachment were sent to the Senate, up until the articles of impeachment were written, there was nothing tangible. There were no legal statutes that Trump broke. His taxes, Michael Cohen, nothing. They included nothing within the articles of impeachment other than subjective, well, you didn't abide by congressional investigations and you abused your power. That's subjective. If you have a difference of opinion, then you've already defeated the argument. No legal statute was broken in the past 3 years that Democrats could include within the articles of impeachment. So they've been essentially lying and just spreading the most baseless allegations. They've made statements without evidence that Trump did this and Trump did that. And they couldn't include these. They couldn't include any of the allegations, or they couldn't include the allegations alongside a legal statute because he didn't commit a crime. So they couldn't accuse him of a crime for the past 3 years within the articles of impeachment, yet they say he's tarnishing the rule of law and the Constitution and all that. Now, Michael Flynn was set up and framed. Michael Flynn did nothing wrong. Michael Flynn, if you look at why he was indicted, he wasn't indicted on working with Russia, and he wasn't indicted on any consulting for another country, whether it was Turkey or anything else. He had nothing to do with Russia. Nothing to do. Nothing. Oh, he was at that RT gala with Jill Stein. That's not why he was indicted. They're upset that Roger Stone's sentencing is being reduced because they feel the Mueller probe was this saintly, justified, legal example of government or political retribution. It was their chance to get back at Trump. It was their chance to fulfill their fantasies that Trump had worked with Russia. And when they found nothing, they said, well, at least we were suspicious, and we had to investigate because we were suspicious. Well, sorry, that's not enough to justify ruining a person's life or making a person spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal fees, or making a person think that he's going to go to jail forever. What they did to George Papadopoulos and to Michael Flynn and to even Roger Stone and even to Manafort. Manafort committed financial crimes. He committed the same crimes that Clinton's campaign chairman's brother committed. The same, because they worked together. They worked together. But anyway, Michael Flynn was set up. He was the initial national security advisor. Then Trump had McMaster. Then Trump had Bolton. Two establishment figures, two people that the establishment could accept. The establishment, D.C., both left and right, didn't want Michael Flynn. Why? Because he was too loyal, too close to Trump. Because he wouldn't leak information, or he wouldn't oppose Trump's, maniacal quest to remove Americans from harm's way. He worked with General Stanley McChrystal, who, by the way, General Stanley McChrystal, because of a Rolling Stone article, because of one article where there's no evidence that he had stated any of those things, because of an article, President Obama fired him. And then they say, well, Trump is just, he's just letting people go left and right, and there's so much turnover and all this chaos. Well, it took one article, but here, Barr installed a team of outside prosecutors, including from St. Louis, to go into the office of the U.S. Attorney and review the work of line attorneys handling political sensitive cases, including versus Michael Flynn. Line attorneys. What do I care? These are Democrats. They revere the levers of governmental power. They revere bureaucracy. They revere the prosecutors. The federal prosecutors are their heroes. Except if these federal prosecutors were to go after Clinton. By the way, Hillary Clinton is going to be nominee. I will be the only person on YouTube, the only person in all of media saying this since 2017. Bannon just recently started saying this. But anyway, let me read you this. Barr installs outside prosecutor to review case against Michael Flynn. Amid turmoil in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, the Attorney General has also sent outside prosecutors to review other political sensitive cases. Attorney New York Times. Attorney General William P. Barr has assigned an outside prosecutor to scrutinize the criminal case against President Trump's former National Security Advisor Michael T. Flynn. The review is highly unusual and could trigger more accusations of political interference by top Justice Department officials into the work of career prosecutors. When you wake up in the morning and you go into let's just try to be as civil as possible. You go to the bathroom. What takes place in the bathroom is more important than the work of these career prosecutors pertaining to the Mueller probe or Crossfire Hurricane. Democrats and media need to revere everything to do with the Mueller probe because it's their way of explaining why they lost, even though it doesn't explain why they lost. They need it for their maniacal, pathetic, weak spirits and souls and minds. This way they can pontificate about climate change while pushing another nuclear confrontation with Russia because they lost. This is like, Democrats have created a world that doesn't exist. Okay, Trump never worked with Russia. Trump doesn't speak subliminally to all the racists. This is in your brain, Democrats, because you lost. And you have you can't possibly look at the mirror. You can't possibly look into the mirror and say, oh, well, we cheat. We have nothing. We don't stand on any policies. We have no principles. If the RNC were to be hacked by Russia, we would be cheering. So they have no principles. They do themselves in. They're the ones who, when it came to the Supreme Court, they're the ones who said, a simple majority into the Senate. That didn't work out too well. But they're going to overturn Michael Flynn's case because he was set up by Andrew McCabe. So at the end, 10 minutes in here, Andrew McCabe set up Michael Flynn. Andrew McCabe set up Jeff Sessions. Al Franken was the first person to set up Jeff Sessions. There was this Cold War, McCarthy-era Red Scare hysteria that Democrats created. You know, the same Democrats who love the rule of law. The same Democrats who love civility. They're the ones who created this world that Trump might have worked with Russia. It was all nonsense to begin with. It was based on a dossier purchased by Clinton. They indicted Russian intelligence officials, knowing very well these intelligence officials would never defend themselves. And the only evidence they had was Company One. The United States government has never indicted anyone based solely on the information of a company outsourced by Democrats. Ever. It's the first time in history. They indicted Russian intelligence officials based on CrowdStrike, not the United States government. And then when people say, "Oh well, the U.S. government confirmed," no, they didn't. They confirmed their confidence level. They didn't confirm with certainty. They didn't guarantee that there are no guarantees and there are no statements of certainty regarding CrowdStrike's work because CrowdStrike didn't give the U.S. government all of the information. We are relying on allegedly accurate copies. It would be of the servers. It would be the equivalent of DNC servers. It would be the equivalent of having a defense attorney hire his own forensics team to look at the bank safe and say, well, you know what? These are the only fingerprints you're going to use. And as you can see here, that those aren't my client's fingerprints. And then, federal prosecutors would say, okay, you're right. We'll use, there are no conflicts of interest with the defense attorney. The defense attorney's, third-party forensics company. That's what they did. Michael Flynn was set up and framed. Michael Flynn, I wrote in the Federalist, okay? Flynn should be pardoned. It is within it. If you look at the description section of all my segments, I should have that article there. Michael Flynn should be pardoned. The article is in the Federalist. Because Mueller found no collusion, Trump should pardon Michael Flynn. I wrote this on April 2nd, 2019. Michael Flynn was framed so certain unethical officials could eventually set up Trump. Now that we know there's no collusion, Trump should pardon Flynn. Oh my God. I don't have social media. I don't have Twitter. I do not have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. But people are like, do you see what this ex-Bernie, now Trumper wrote? Yeah. Why do you need these people? Oh, he lied. He lied too. Yeah. Well, McCabe should be indicted for setting up Trump. So should Strzok, who said, we will stop Trump. At first, they didn't even think he was lying. Peter Strzok interviewed Michael Flynn. Okay? The same Peter Strzok is the guy who interviewed Michael Flynn. Peter Strzok, okay? He's the guy who said, we'll stop Trump. He's the guy who was stooping another agent where they were texting each other, oh, honey bunch. Oh, pumpkin. Don't worry. We'll, big bad Trump won't win. We'll make sure of it. They're the ones who tried and failed. They're the ones who tried and failed to remove President Trump. They did so. Michael Flynn was the first person they went after. The first person they went after. And they did not say that he was being investigated. They did not say there was an investigation. They said, let's just meet in the White House. Then the FBI 302s, the FBI can lie and say that you lied if you didn't lie. The FBI interviews are not recorded. They have something called 302s, where they just have a piece of paper and they say, well, you said something you didn't. You said something that wasn't true. There's no evidence that any of these FBI agents are acting lawfully or ethically or truthfully. You just have to, the United States government just honors and and trusts whatever these FBI people say in the 302s. Why would that happen? These people have the same biases that everyone else has, but the difference is they're investigating. So they're naturally less suspicious of Clinton and infinitely more suspicious of Trump. This is why it's so ridiculous to hear Democrats. This is why they have no value system. With Democrats, if you don't vote for Clinton, it's a bias that you had through osmosis when you were born, and it has to be rooted out of you, and oh my God, and this, there's different types of biases, there's different types of prejudices, but when Peter Strzok says we'll stop Trump, he's a menace, Trump voters are smelly, and then it's okay. He can draw the line between working and his thoughts. He's just political views. That's not just political views. Okay, Comey was not a Republican. Mueller was not a Republican. They're Republican in name only. They're Republican the way Pelosi is a progressive. You think Pelosi and AOC see the world in the same way? Most of the time, yeah. But even that, then they say, well, James Comey is a Republican, and Mueller's a Republican, and you can just work. These aren't like plumbers or contractors, or it's not a task that you don't utilize. You don't utilize suspicion when you're performing a task that has nothing to do with investigating another human being. They investigated Trump, and they were certain that Michael Flynn, or they didn't care, they just set him up. They wanted to set him up and frame him. Give me your thoughts below. They interviewed Michael Flynn, then they said he lied about something, and he didn't lie. He didn't lie. Initially, they said he didn't lie, but here, you can look at the article that I wrote. Their initial reason was to talk about the Russia probe. They had no reason to talk to Michael Flynn because Michael Flynn was mentioned in the dossier, but they had no reason to talk about him because there was no collusion. So, the FBI here, this is the Washington Post. The FBI in late December reviewed intercepts of communications between the Russian ambassador to the United States and retired General Michael Flynn, National Security Advisor to then President-elect Trump, but has not found any evidence of wrongdoing or illicit ties to the Russian government. So, they tried to get they tried to get him on speaking to Sergei Kislyak, just like they got Sessions, and so Sessions was compromised from day one. He never spoke about Russian collusion with Sergei Kislyak, but what they did was they tried to say, oh, well, you said that you had spoken to him on this date, but you didn't speak to him on that date. You spoke to him on a different date. Okay, you lied to us. Whatever it was insignificant. It was regarding a phone conversation that they already intercepted. And they said, well, there's a discrepancy in what he said. They just framed him and set him up. Could you imagine the discrepancies if they really went after Clinton? Oh, yoga? Okay, well, that's funny because there are no references to yoga in any other emails. Whatever. You know how easy it would be. Oh, you used it for convenience, but it wasn't convenient. So how does that work out? Oh, President Obama didn't know? But I thought you said everybody knew. So why didn't President Obama know? You can go on forever. How did you transfer top secret and special access program intelligence? How was that? If they had asked that, Clinton would have been already indicted. But then, again, whatever. Clinton will be the nominee. Hillary Clinton's going to be the nominee because all of this is to pave the way for Clinton. It's not to pave the way for Klobuchar. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. Right.